we're especially pleased this year, as this is the third year that Techceram have run the Ask the Experts event, and this year we're going to be looking at the subject from impression to implant, empowering the lab owner for the future. And I think first of all it would be appropriate to show who we have on our panel. So I wonder whether each of our guests would hold their name up, and then we can see who our expert panel is right the way there. And just a little reminder there for you guys who the individuals are who are going to be answering questions, and there will be time for questions as each speaker finishes their introduction to the area. So guys, you can put that down now, and no, keep it so they can see it, otherwise they can't cheer at the end of your moment of glory. Great. So thank you everybody for joining us. I hope you're having a great DTS. Don't forget to visit stand Geo1 at the end, where Techceram products, materials, equipment and software will all be on display. That's stand Geo1. So Tobias, I wonder whether we could start with you in talking about the Smart Optics vinyl scanner, high resolution scanning. How does it fit in the digital workflow?
Yeah, so how does the vinyl high resolution fit in the complete workflow? I think the question is, you need to have a scanner to start with the digital workflow. So the scanner is the first step to get into the workflow, and the vinyl high resolution is a scanner which I think it's a leading ship of 3D scanners, because it's completely open-minded. It has a big range of functionalities. You can do a high resolution, a low resolution mode. You can be free in your mind how to use the scanner. If you want to do it in an independent use, you can find your own workflow through the scanning. You can go with the easiest mode, the easy mode, for example. Just scan my first jaw, my second jaw, the occlusion. I think you are complete open-minded, and the scanner fits for expert users, for beginner users, and for the advanced one as well.
Yeah, right, thank you. A lot of people in the market, they're going for the default 3 shape. And I asked Tobias if I could ask him this question, but hey, they are going for 3 shape, and a lot of people are buying those. But Tobias, is there another answer possibly out there?
Yeah, it's very difficult. 3 shape is a great system. We all know 3 shape. I think 3 shape is well known because they have the complete range. They have the scanner, the milling, the CAD software, and I like it's in my mind in the moment, but I like to compare it with an Apple product. Yeah, we all know the Apple product, and we all know the Android product, and we all know the problem on a wedding, for example. If I want to take some pictures with my iPhone and it says, oh, you can't, you need to delete some pictures because your storage is full. It's the same compared to the Android user could just put in a bigger storage. And this is the same in the dental open CAD/CAM workflow. So you can choose between different kind of scanners. You have a completely opened CAD software. You have different kind of milling machines, of software, and all are working very good with each other. And for example, with ExocCAD, we have great communication, and I think we started from the scratch. Building scanners and working on the ExocCAD. So we have a fluent working with each other, and you're completely free, open-minded in what you want to do. So
brilliant. Thank you, Tobias. One of the great things is, because the scanner is open, you can configure that perfectly then with ExocCAD, and Steve is going to tell us a little bit about how, once you've got that digital impression, where you go from there. Steve.
I think something. Okay, so ExocCAD is producing software solutions for the full range of dental design, ranging from the integration with the 3D scanners at the beginning, the implant planning, design, be it clinical or lab, all the way through to manufacturing. Okay, so one of the key questions that we're asked is, how do I purchase the software? One of the things that we recently introduced, and it's made quite a difference, is what we call flex licensing. So traditionally we had what we call a perpetual license. You would buy the software, then you would have an optional yearly upgrade. We've changed this now to allow a flexible subscription-based licensing. The main difference with this is that it gives you a much lower startup cost. So it's as functional, as exactly the same as the normal license. You can add all the modules that you want to, but at a lower cost. One of the benefits also with Flex License is if you have a module and then you decide that maybe it's no longer required, it is possible to deactivate that module. So you no longer have to pay for something that you don't use.
So Steve, you're truly paying for what you get then?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you get the flexibility to pay for what you get. One of the other benefits is we've introduced what we call standalone. So if you're only producing, for example, partial dentures or models, or even the new Smile design, you can actually purchase that and use that without having to buy the full Dental CAD basic product. So it gives you, again, the flexibility to do that at a lower cost. Brilliant. And you can obviously upgrade with that license if you wish to in the future.
Super. Now, Steve, you were going to tell us a little bit specifically about ExocPlan. So can you cover that for us?
Yes, certainly. So ExocPlan is our implant planning software. And this is working by combining CBCT scans and optical scans. And they should come from any scanner. We're completely open. We can use that then in conjunction with implant libraries within ExocPlan. There's around, at the moment, 250 combining of top-tier implant suppliers and also local compatible implant suppliers. So you can use that to actually do the planning, to place the implant, to produce the required reports. So once you get to the end of that planning stage, then there is an optional module which you can add on to produce the guides. So you can then go on to design the drilling guides. And again, you're using the same implant library with the sleeves, be it the OEM sleeves or compatible sleeves. So that gives you the full drill guide at the end of the process. And that drill guide is an open format. So again, that can be exported and that can be printed on any open printer.
Thanks, Steve. If you want to know more about ExocCAD, complex software made simple, do visit our stand year one. Steve will be on the stand and able to demonstrate any features you might want to know more about. So you talked about any open printer. That's a perfect pointer to probably the market leading printer. And Rik is going to tell us about why we should look at the 5100. Rik?
Yes, no, happy to do so. Thank you so much. Yeah, so what was very important when I built the 5100 was to listen carefully to you guys. So what you need, and actually what you told me was you need an affordable printer, very high speed, and a very accurate printer which is reliable in the long run. So we learned all from companies like Formlabs, transferring a hobby printer into a production environment, and we experienced that learning curve. So now it's time to implement a production printer into your daily workflow without any technical issues or problems, fully integrated with the scanning and denture software solutions.
It is closed. Only NextDent resins work in it. And a lot of people have an issue with this, but Rik, you have a rationale for why this is so?
Yeah, I understand very well that people prefer open systems. But I think we have to look at two things here. The printer is open in terms of software. Any STL file you can import, you can slice and nest. But with materials here, we are working with medical devices. Finally, the printed part goes into the mouth of the patient. So the polymerization of that material is actually happening in the printer, in your lab, in your clinic, in your office. I expect that later on this year, let's say regulatory health authorities will come with regulations in terms of 3D printing in healthcare. And in that perspective, to control the quality and to offer a validated solution with a medical device regulated product, I decided to close it in terms of the materials to assure you that we can give you the guarantee that it is also working perfectly after 3 or 5 years. With open systems in which you can pour any kind of material, who is finally responsible for the quality in the patient's mouth, and actually that's you. So if you want to take that risk, please go ahead. If you want to security with a validated system, choose ours.
Thank you, Rik. One of the areas Techceram focus on very specifically is validated systems, because you don't want to be the final stop if something goes wrong. And Rik's example there for the resin is classic of why we went down the route with NextDent's resins, NextDent printer for that reason. The other material suppliers are common to that are available from us. Okay, Rik, redefining digital dentistry. Tell us your view on this.
Yeah, I think that the market is changing massively nowadays. So labs have to go digital. Otherwise, they will not be competitive anymore. But on the other hand, with digitalization, you secure quality. And this is the most important thing for all of us. We want to have a stable, continuous quality output towards the doctors and the patients. So digitalization is a big part of it. But printing is so interesting because with milling, you have certain limitations in terms of undercuts, the size of the burr, but also in terms of certain kind of applications like the denture base. To mill that, it's simply too costly. So I predict that everybody will have scanners, everybody will have software, and everybody will have a milling machine as well as a printer, and then make money.
Great. Visit Techceram stand. We have all those things available. Benjamin, once I've printed my study model, I've decided I want to then move this from the design into the mill. Tell us about the general workflow in your cam and nesting.
Well, when we take a closer look to any cam solution which is out there in the market, then you have to consider about several things where you have to prepare your parts before you can start milling. So at first there's your part inquiry where you load your part, and afterwards you have to define the machine, you have to define the fixture, and maybe if there are different kind of fixtures which you can use in your machine, you have to find the appropriate fixture. Then you have to select, let's say, the part type. You have to set up the milling strategies, the template, and before you can start milling. So this is like the general workflow what you have in your CAM solution. So in any CAM solution in general.
Okay, and in your CAM or nesting software, can you tell us a little bit more about how this functions?
Well, what we do, so since Delcam left the dental field, Follow Me with this product Hyperdent has become the key player in 5-axis simultaneous milling. And what we consider about is how to automate processes in the digital workflow. So everything what I mentioned before, all this part load, this template, choosing the templates, setting up the machine and so on. So this is what we do, and we are automating all these processes. So once you open Hyperdent, everything is already pre-set up with the let's say with the default machine settings. Then always the appropriate fixture is loaded. Then you can immediately start drag and dropping your parts into your blank. Take all the parts into account, start calculating, do the automatic renesting, and do the automatic tilting from several parts and so on. So it's already automated, completely automated in this workflow.
So this is saving a lot of time for the technician?
Absolutely, it's saving considerable time, yeah.
And giving confidence that the work he has is correct, yeah.
Yes,
the
exactly.
setup, yeah.
What you were mentioning about the validation and the MDR, so this is what we do. Currently, this is an ongoing process, always validating all the templates corresponding to the materials, to the machine, to the fixture, to whatever, to the used tools and so on. So this is what because we want to be aware and be proactive because of the MDR 2020 and the 13485 accreditation,
Yeah. Benjamin, one of the questions that we're frequently asked when supplying the Amazike or 650i is, can I mill angled screw channels? And the milling equipment will do that. Tell us about the software. How does that handle this?
So what we do, so the machine has the capability to mill angulated screw channels. Of course, it depends a lot on the CAM solution, where you have to have your milling strategies set up in a very accurate way. And I think this maybe one of the most important things that when it comes to angulated screw channels, that you have some different kind of screw channels. So you have this angulation, and you want to mill, of course, the screw fitting area and the screw channels and the implant interface. And this is very interesting, and this is maybe where Miguel can say something about, because there you need special tools, and we have a cooperation with the BHS 30 system from Spain. Yeah, from Spain, and they developed very special tools, as you can see there maybe in the video, if the video works.
Yeah, it's been running. Yeah, it's
okay,
finished.
okay.
Yeah, we
Thank
can
you.
go again.
So this is a simulation of the tool parties in Hyperdent, and there you can see it mills from the cavity side. So there you can see the implant interface, and there you can see the second screw channel with this angulation. Of course, there's always a maximum angulation of 30 degrees, but so the Hyperdent is absolutely capable to mill this. With this T-slot cutter, this is a special T-slot cutter, but I think Miguel can maybe say a lot more about this.
Okay, Benjamin, thank you. And you went through a lot of technical information quickly for us, so thank you for that.
Oh, sorry.
Again, do visit the Techceram stand where we've got Hyperdent on demo there, and Benjamin will be around for the day to just show you a little bit more, because super software and working really well with that combination then. From there then, Fabian, we obviously now, having done this, want to mill some material, and working with yourselves, we've got some specific materials that you wanted to talk to us about. Can you tell us about the Scheftner material, and why, shouldn't I just buy the cheapest material in the market I can get? Is not all titanium the same?
In this part, it's very easy to pick up Rik's comments about the legal compliance and also like the process security, which is the most difference between Scheftner and our competitors. You see on the slide we have a special way of production of our products. On occasion, I have also one disc with me. We use a single disc casting method, which ensure a lot of good action for the disc. So we don't cut them with a saw on a big bar. So every disc will be the same inside. Why? If you have a big bar, you cast the metal inside in it, and during the cooling period, it will have different temperatures inside the whole bar. So every disc will be unique. With this method, the cooling time is very, very, let's say, short, and so the disc is very homogeneous inside. Also, we don't have on the surface. If you cut it with a saw, there is heat, so the surface is more closed. Our surface is the same quality and the same characteristic like inside. So this is very important for.
Fabian, are you telling us that if I go and buy a random disc from whatever other supplier, there is a question over the material and whether it's consistent? Is this what you're saying Scheftner have as unique?
Yes, kind of. So it's also it's a very tricky part, because it's a big topic about the legal compliance, about the ISO 22674. To be inside, you're only allowed to mill several, let's say, bridges, bigger bridges, bars, stuff like this, superstructures out of a type class 4 disc. So Scheftner ensures that every disc is in type class 4. And so this is what I come back to Rik.
Yeah.
You have absolutely sure that you are using this correct product to produce the application. And this is what is not ensured by our competitors, in our opinion.
So the advantages for the dental technician are what then?
So the advantage, we have two advantages. First, the process will every time will be the same. The milling characteristic is the same, and also handle with the ceramic will always be the same, because every time it's the same product. First for the dental technician.
Yeah.
And for the lab owner, it's very important that he manufacture according to all the legals outside. And so we have a compliance with that.
Right, thank you, Fabian. Very interestingly, as a milling centre, we get lots of labs who we do work for, and I can tell you if something isn't right, as lab owners, you get on our back pretty quickly. Yeah, and rightly so, because it should be right. One of the reasons why as a business we've focused on this legal compliance across all the materials and services and products that we have is because we want it right, and we know that you getting on our back if it isn't right is critical. So for that reason, this legal compliance, this 13485 compliance is absolutely critical right the way through the workflow. And so Techceram have taken this regulation compliance very, very seriously, because that then gives you confidence as a lab owner when working with us, whether it's equipment or material supply or milling services, that you know you're going to be compliant with what you need to do, so your clinicians can be confident in either the work or the material that comes out. Okay, we're going to move more on to talking further about material, but soft material. So I'm moving from, say, an IMA's iCore 650i, which is the leading milling machine, through to more like the 350i, which is great for soft materials. And Shane is going to talk to us about Aidite. So Shane, tell us a little bit about the Aidite material, please.
Aidite was one of the first companies in the world to have the multi-layer zirconia blocks. And in the 2017, we began with the first the 3D multi-layer you can see on the screen, which make a combination of both anterior multi-layer and posterior TIS multi-layer. This one, the character of the 3D is the three types of transition of shade, translucency, and strength. Combining the three types of transition in one block. So to make this block for anterior TIS and the posterior TIS. And then in 2019, this year at IDS, we make a big improvement on the 3D block. There is a big enhance in strength, which the incisal part goes to 900 megapascal, and gradually increase to cervical part 10 and 50 megapascal. This is the very unique and advantage character to make the incisal part less abrasion to the occlusal surface. And the cervical is 1050 megapascal to make it strong enough to make long bridges. So with the increase in the strength and also the very high translucent at the incisal part, it makes all applications, including the full arch bridge, implant work, anterior and both anterior and posterior cases. So with this block 3D Pro multi-layer, you can make all cases in your lab with the one block. So you don't need to choose different kinds of material for different kinds of cases. This is the biggest advantage of the new product.
So once I've completed my milling work with your fine material, finally we come on to then the furnaces.
Yeah, so with the Aidite material, 3D Pro, and our Camille fast sintering furnace, very big benefits for labs from the fast and the efficient results. We make the fast solution with the 3D Pro and fast sintering to control your whole process to mill a single crown in 4.5 hours. It's very fast and efficient, and the enhance in the strength makes the dental technicians to do less repeat work. So we won't get the repeat work from the dentist, and also it's very save cost, labor cost and the time cost for the labs who saving time and labor through the faster solution with the faster sintering. The work, the high translucent at the incisal part goes to 57% and gradually goes down to 43% with the gradient. So it makes technicians very easy to make high aesthetics work with the block. Make the aesthetic work more easy and more simple for technicians. Yeah.
I think interestingly, thank you, Shane. Like Fabian's material, the material grades that we're talking about here, the price point of those per disc is higher. So if you want cheap material, then please don't visit the Techceram stand for Aidite or Scheftner material. If you want reliable material that is going to do the job right with reduced number of remakes, and very often this isn't considered in the lab environment and the clinical environment when actually cheaper materials are bought. But when you reflect on the quality and the standard of material that can be available out there, okay, you pay a wee bit more, you do pay more, but the end result means less remakes, happier clinicians, and better results that you can be proud of as a lab technician. So, Shane, thank you for that. Fabian, you were going to add?
Yes, I want to also like pick also Jonathan's point. You pay a little bit more on the disc, but you save in the whole process. I mean, if you're saving like 20 euros or pound a disc if you go to a competitor, but if you compare even the sound of milling, ours very the noise is very low, so the tool life will extend. And if the tool life extending, also the whole life of the machine will extending. Yeah. And this is what costs. I mean, not the disc costs 100 euro, 100 pounds, 120 pounds, or the machine of 80,000. And this will secure the money in the end.
I know we have examples of this coming back to us from lab owners who say, you know, milling with these materials, I'm getting better results. My burrs are wearing out slower. And even one lab owner said his mill is quieter using the materials. Well, that's all good news, isn't it, for a business? Okay, you're doing really well with me so far in terms of the workflow and where we're getting to. So, okay, I've done that work now. I've milled my parts. I've sent them off to the clinician. Miguel, what do I do now? Because you're going to tell me about how these parts get fitted.
Yeah, we are the only component company here. So we're responsible for final aesthetics, durability, and functionality of the prosthesis, together with the milling and all the strategies. In this sense, we have created a system which is called ball head system, which is the solution for correcting angulation and screwing those parts to our implants as the final part of the process. I've made a little background in 2010 when we started developing and patenting our solution. We had the two same ways to correct angulation in screw retained prosthesis, and these are the cemented prosthesis, which has usual complications with composite cement that affect the adjacent tissue, but the preferred system is the screw retention. But at that time, all the technologies to correct angulation included connections between screw and screwdriver, which were recycled from other uses into angulation. So they were inefficient, and that inefficiency brought complications, economical and technical complications, like screw shearing, which is a mess then to go back or to arrange. So we started with the design of our ball head system solution. If you can show it, yeah. And as I was saying, we are the responsibles for aesthetics, functionality, and stability with this system. This is our creation back in 2010 in the market for the last 5 years, and it's the surest screw in the market. We designed the connection and we tested it in comparison with the existing systems, and the response of those tests is that we were doubling the torque allowance for this screw and driver connection, so that means security, And another important fact is that due to shearing, lots of the previous screws could not get unscrew once they were sheared, and we reached the possibility of unscrewing every screw we tested. Okay, so in this sense, we're talking about the sure solution. We call it the sure solution. This is the ball head system design, able to reach 30 degrees in any direction, and allowing us for complete freedom when we design our prosthesis with the softwares we've been discussing about, and also allowing that allows a perfect anatomy, so 100% customization of that structure, being the perfect partner for the CAD/CAM design, which nowadays and in the future will be leading our labs. All our advantages are related to safety, and that refers also to our screw design, which allows the use, which is unique. It's the only male screw in the market and female driver. So there's no possibility of misplacement of an inappropriate driver to drive that screw, with all the complications that can bring. And also our particular or exclusive geometry allows us the use of the BHS handler, which is a very appreciated, mainly by clinicians, because it gives comfort and hygienic manipulation of the screws until positioning in mouth. So it's another characteristic or other advantage which brings security to our use of this solution.
Thank you, Miguel. We've given you a fast whistle-stop tour of some of the brands that Techceram feature, and we're very pleased to have had our partners here with us today. There are a few minutes for some questions, so I know we've been through the information quickly for you today, but I wonder if anyone from the audience would like to ask any of our panel members a question about either a material or challenge some of the comments they've made, or perhaps delve a little bit deeper. Anyone got a question they'd like to pose? Or have our panel perfectly told you everything you might ever need to know about this highly technical subject? We're good? Okay, well, if there's no more questions, I wonder, panel, would you hold your name badges up one more time? Perhaps we can give them a round of applause just to thank them for their presentation. Thank you, guys. Please do remember, visit stand G01. Come and see Techceram. We'd love to see you and talk to you about software, materials and equipment. Thank you again, and have a great DTS.